goodness, now I have to say something profound. Hello, it's Nancy today. There, I said it. So, Willem and I have been attending a couples conference at church. Now, each category or group of people in the church, there's conferences. So there's youth conferences. All the youth get together and they spend a week together or something, and they have classes and they learn things, and they have a dance and testimony, I mean, different things go on. And then when you're a single adult, or when you're single, I guess it's for young single adult, those would be people under the age of 25 or something, and they get together and they have these conferences, and they meet each other and they fall in love and get married. And that's one of the main things. The emphasis is in the church is on family and that and being a family is where you gain your truest happiness. And so the church encourages marriages and facilitates the meeting of each other and gives us standards for our behavior when we're with each other, before we're married and after we're married. And so we have conferences like that. Well, we went to one today that was a couples conference. Have we ever been to a couples conference before? Willem? No. Okay, there was one that happened that we missed because we went to camping with our kids, I think. But anyway, so we went this time. It was very interesting because we have a really good marriage. We've been married 33 years, and it's a match made in heaven. And I think that more than us being two people that are compatible, I think we also have that it's very important to us to have a wonderful marriage, to be happy together and to laugh together and to love each other and to be great friends and share things and do things for each other. Willem does so many things for me. He knows my physical limitations because ever since we married, I already had a bad back, and so it was everything I did was always a bit difficult because it hurt. And so early in our marriage, he would get things for me because he could see it was difficult for me. And it just came so easily to ask him for things because it did hurt. And it still does hurt, so he still gets things from me. And I don't get things for him so much, but that, sometimes I do. But anyway, so our couples conference, we learned about many things. I'm probably going to have to get out my notes because I have forgotten everything. My mind is a blank sheet. But one thing that we did talk about was our emotions and what we do when we feel certain emotions, how our face looks and how our posture changes, and whether we draw back and our eyes and mouth open, or we fill up with air and are ready to explode, or if we slump down and look at the floor and really couldn't care less. Well, really couldn't care less is not what you see in the action, it's what you interpret it to be. Could you close those two windows, please? And I need something to drink. Let me see. I wonder if this will turn upside down. Nope, you just turn upside down. This is what you do. See if I can let it sit there and if it'll stay. Nope. There might be a way to make it work. There, now I have to take my water. Anyway, so when I think about my marriage, I think about how much I love Willem. He's there for me. He's there for me emotionally. When I am emotional, emotional things to deal with, right? But will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? I'm almost 64. That's like older than God. It's older than trees. Anyway, it's not. But the number, when you get to that number and it's like you're going to be 60, you know how freaked out that makes you, because you really have never changed since you're 18 and you still feel you're the same person. There's nothing different about you except you're a lot smarter and you do things slower because you have, like, if you were like me, you think things through a little more because you've had some experience. You don't make quite as many big mistakes. You still make tons of mistakes, but they're not quite as huge because you've learned all those big mistake things. Now you got to work on the little mistake things. So I don't know where that all came from or where it was going, but it's over. So now I was going to talk about Willem. When I think about Willem, I just think about how good he is. You know, he's a very righteous man. He obeys the commandments. If you tell him what the commandments are, well, not if I tell him, but you know, if he knows what the commandments from God are, then he does them. It's not a lot of, oh yeah, maybe this once. You know, it's like, no, we don't do that. There's some standards, like in the church. There's one rule that, well, there's not just one rule, but you don't steal. And so on the beginning of videos, DVDs, it always says stuff about the copyright and about not showing it to audiences. It's for personal use. And so in the church, in the building, when we have things going on with the kids, you're not allowed to go rent a DVD and bring it home and have a movie night where you show that movie to the whole group of people, because it's against the law, right? It's illegal. And it doesn't matter if you'll ever get caught or if anybody ever knows you ever did it. It's because it's between you and God, right? And it's his commandment to not to steal, and which includes not to cheat and lie, and you know, all that stuff is deceit. You're not supposed to have anything you have to hide, right? So because hiding changes your relationship with God, right? Like, where are you going to hide, right? Where are you going to hide? You can't hide. There's nowhere to hide. You can pretend. That's easy. You can pretend. You can pretend he's not there. He has no rules, and he's not there. There's nobody there. It's the universe. Yes, it's the universe, which is an energy and a source of peacefulness and Mother Nature and, you know, whatever. Well, anyway, there's be not deceived. That's a really big deal these days, because there's a lot of deception out there. There's a lot out there that sounds good, works out, and you don't have to be thankful to anybody for anything. You know, you did it yourself. It's because of the way you were thinking, and that's why you have received this great abundance. And you have no one to thank but yourself, which is wonderful, and you can feel very proud. You know, and there's no humility involved, and gratitude. Anyway, those characteristics, humility and gratitude, are like to die for. Those are the most important. You know, if you're humble, you're teachable. And so if you're humble and teachable, are you going to get angry and refuse to listen when your spouse says something? Or somebody, you know, you've stepped on toes. I step on a lot of toes. I roll across feet with a bulldozer. Yeah, it's really bad. Anyway, so,
not literally speaking, I hope. Figuratively speaking, right?
Right. I'm not a literalist, in case you didn't know. Anyway, it sure gets hot in here when you close all the windows. I guess we have to turn on the fan and we have to turn on these
Air
vents.
conditioner.
The air conditioning. Does the air conditioning give you more oxygen?
Interesting question.
Or just when the fan is on, then you have access to different air. It might all be in the same car, but your carbon.
If the thing is not on closed loop, then you get extra oxygen.
So if you have, when you exhale your carbon dioxide and you're in a car, does that exhaled carbon dioxide dissipate quickly like a smell? Or does it, like the molecules are going to go and get in between all the other molecules just quick as can be? Or does it sort of pool around you?
Interesting question. I would think if there's no vent, like if there's no window open, it'll probably stay and increase the concentration of carbon dioxide.
Around your face?
Yeah, I would think. Well, actually, no. Wait a minute. If oxygen goes in, somehow the other air has to go out somehow.
Right, and they're bumping into each other all the time,
Yeah,
so you must be creating these
sure how it
currents.
Yeah,
So that it's not like the once in motion, always in motion until a force slows it down. So you're going to have the exhaled air is going out at a certain speed, and it's going to continue at that speed until it slows down as the incoming air molecules.
I'm not sure. I would need to see the layout of the car, how it's manufactured, if there's any escape for the air to go to, or if there's only one exit at one entrance of the air from the motor to get into the car, and the thing to come out at the same time. I'm not sure how it works.
See, that's interesting because those details didn't enter into my thinking process at all. It had nothing to do with the actual being in the car and, well, the way the car was designed. It was it being in an enclosed area, maybe a stationary enclosed area where there's no air movement.
If there's no opening for the air to escape, only the air could be blown in by the fan. That's not very efficient. So I imagine there's probably a hole somewhere for the air to escape, I would think.
But see, now we're back into that technical, mechanical thing that has nothing to do with my question. My question is about the dissipation of air molecules. So,
the carbon dioxide will mix with all the air.
as soon as the carbon dioxide is released, as soon as I blow it out, it's now moving at a certain speed, right?
It just mixes. Just if you dissolve some sugar or food coloring in a bottle of water,
Okay.
it mixes, so the carbon dioxide will mix.
Okay.
And so if there is no
And so, but still, the concentration of food coloring, depending on how much you put in, the concentration of it is going to be closest to where the original drop was, and along the speed of the path, at the speed of the movement of the drop.
Okay, you don't follow you there.
You know, like gravity and how it's pulling the drop, that would have an effect on the final location of all the molecules of drop. I think we've gotten off the subject here.
Yeah, I think we're talking different subjects here.
Now, so we have not really gotten off the subject at all. The subject is communication with your spouse. So this is exactly what happens, right? I'm trying to explain something to him, and do you know what page I'm on? Do you understand that? And can you see what page he's on? We're on completely different pages. I'm on the diffusion page, and he's on the parameters of the study.
I was trying to figure out whether if you breathe out, if the concentration of carbon dioxide will increase in your car.
Oh, well, that wasn't my question. I knew it would increase. Okay, you see there? See, my question was, what happens? Does the carbon dioxide pool around me or does it go away? and spread out evenly amongst all the remaining air. And his question was, does the concentration of carbon dioxide go up? And he had to then know if there was an extra source of air to know whether. So here we are on two different stories. And so when you're having a disagreement with your spouse, when you're ready to get mad and say like, hello, you're not listening to me, that's not what we're talking about. Do you really have a clue of what he's talking about? And maybe that's the question to be asked is, what am I saying? What are you saying? Is this what you're saying? And then they can say, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this. Instead of, like, you know at the Tower of Babel when they confused the language? I think it's still confused, really. I think it's really still confused because communication, nobody knows what the heck somebody else is talking about. Just try and let them explain it back to them and they got it wrong all the time. So it's amazing we can function at all. Anyway, I've gone over my time, so I may just have to split this video now. Anyway,